Hello, everybody, and welcome to ScreenJunkies Universe. There's 3 of us left. It's a Hunger Games around here, and we're down to 3, so cast your votes. No, Roth is still off not being a spy in Berlin. Joe Starr is away on other separate official business, so it's
also
it's
not
just
a spy.
Also not a spy.
None of us are spies.
So now it's just the 3 of us. Billy Business, Spencer J. Gilbert.
Present.
And, well, guys, let's get right to it. The final, I'm assuming, trailer for Infinity War dropped this morning. We can't show it here because our channel will immediately be deleted from YouTube.
Who hasn't watched it, though?
Yeah, you've watched it. So, general thoughts, guys? Things that struck you? Anything that excites you? Anything that concerns you?
I guess so. Overall, good times, man. Good times.
McConaughey Friday.
All right.
All right.
I mean, I watched this trailer the way it was meant to, which was on my phone while I pooped. So I didn't really take in too many specific moments, but just the overall feeling of like a culmination. And the Marvel movies, they're not my favorite movies, but it's my favorite long-running TV show that happens to be in movie theaters. So just like the seeming culmination of these plot lines that we've been following, it's like a season finale for me. And it's just so exciting to see, like, it's all been leading up to this. And I hope that they follow through with that.
Let's just take a moment and acknowledge how far we've come in 20 years. Remember when The Phantom Menace came out? You had to buy tickets to a movie that you didn't want to see to go see the trailer for The Phantom Menace. And now,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I did want to see Doug's first movie, so it was like a 2-for-1 win for
there
me
you go.
on that one. Yeah.
Nice.
but in less than 2 decades, we've gone from go to the theater and buy a ticket for a movie that you didn't want to see to watch it while you poop.
Yep.
At
I do
home.
remember that
future.
first Phantom Menace trailer. Like they put it online, but it was like on Real Player. Do you remember
Yeah.
Real Player?
yeah.
And you like couldn't really tell what was happening. It was like, I think this is awesome. I'm not sure.
Yeah. If it
Star
was a
Wars?
static shot, it would
Yeah, it
resolve
was
pretty
great.
well. But
Yeah,
action
it's
shot.
oh no,
forget
my
about it.
demo ran out. I need to change the date on my computer's calendar.
I need to uninstall and reinstall Real Player.
Billy, what'd you think?
Look, I know we have a tendency to be like, wow, that was cool. Wow, that was great. I'm going past that. This is where I finally am like, I'm not a film critic, so I don't really give a shit about story and structure in this. This is one of those movies where I've decided I love this movie before I ever
Very
see it.
objective.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
I don't need to be objective. I could be every single second of this trailer.
All your favorite
I was
action
like,
figures.
like I was doing like the pee dance / like I don't know how to communicate my feelings. This is just like I was so excited. Everything in this trailer
Very cool.
for me was
cool.
awesome. Like Iron Man
He's
going
like a
into
mermaid with
space.
fire coming out of his tail.
It's just like, and I liked too, because I was like you. I was like, Marvel has a tendency in their first trailer to go very grim, very dark. Go back and look at like Iron Man 3's trailer or whatever, and then the second one, it's quip, 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 quip. This one, there's 2 jokes, and even the Star-Lord one is kind of just like, oh, that's
how they talk.
That's how they talk to each other. They're gonna have to get used to each other. This looks like shit is about to get real, and I believe them now when they're like, someone's gonna die. Like something bad's really gonna
Maybe
happen.
half of humanity.
Yes.
If we get the oh snap moment from the comics.
Yeah.
There we go. Billy's the only one of the 3 of us that can snap.
I can't
Congratulations, you win.
There it is.
If that's my claim of masculinity today, that I can snap, then I will take it.
That looks like our first captured Infinity Stone, which we were speaking about today, vis-a-vis, without spoiling anything, just speaking broadly, where that Infinity Stone ended up and what that might mean for the character who last we saw wielding it.
Wait, we can talk about.
I mean, this is
Can we talk
speculation.
about
It's
yeah,
not a
Ragnarok.
spoiler.
Right, I
'cause
just didn't know if we
don't
want
know.
to. Yeah, the last time we saw, if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, then you're way behind. But the last time we saw that particular Infinity Stone was in the hands of Loki, who probably, it would seem, heisted it from the vault at in Asgard. So the fact that they're showing us that in the trailer, to me, says that's a pretty early beat in the movie.
And that's the only shot of Loki in this whole trailer is with the Black Order.
Yeah, and we know that Thanos has a score to settle with Loki, going way back to the Avengers, the first Avengers movie. That was supposed to be his stone, and it's been, tossed around and used. But
So
what
you
does
think
this mean
Loki's
for
going
Loki?
down, huh?
I think there's a possibility maybe that the act that kind of tells people that this is serious might be that something bad could happen to Loki.
I have
very
a
early in this
question,
movie.
and it didn't occur to me until recently, but maybe they've answered this and I just didn't get it. So Thanos gives Loki the staff to go invade Earth if he brings him back the cube. Did Thanos not know that there was a stone in there? Because why would he give him one stone to get another?
I think he must not have known.
Yeah, they hadn't written that part of the script.
Also, they didn't know that there was a stone in that staff when they wrote that part of the MCU.
Yeah, it just seems like, dude, why would you trade one
for
stone?
one?
Yeah, that seems counterintuitive.
I guess he's thinking maybe that Loki would
spend
bring
money to
the
make
staff
money.
back with him to bring him the other stone, and then he has two.
Like it was on loan.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd loan that out if I was
It's
trying to
weird
collect them all.
that the fact that this movie is relying so much on the collection of the Infinity Stones is weird, because us who are Marvel fans and who've seen all the movies, like, I can't keep track of it and where they are and stuff like that. Are they really gonna make this the act 1 and 2 of the movie? Is like, well, you remember from the Collector, that's Benicio del Toro, but not from Star Wars, from the Marvel ones. He's actually got Howard the Duck
Or
and the Soul Stone, or whatever.
Maybe they're trusting people like us to do that for them, which, by the by, we might be doing closer to the release of the movie.
Nice
so I'm
tease.
thinking they're thinking perhaps people will come in with a functional knowledge of what's happening, and when you cut to Xandar, you don't have to explain what Xandar is and who the Nova Corps are. And
That'd be very good for us. Probably bad for the movie if, to appreciate it, you had to watch a Screen Junkies video beforehand.
But I also
if
feel
the
like
movie just like go online, go to your
Listen,
phone.
if Marvel would tell people to watch a Screen Junkies video before, I would love that. That would be great. But yeah.
I feel like around Civil War is when they just were like, if you're not with it by this point, like
you're
that's
not
on
gonna-
you.
yeah.
Like Civil War to me was the first one where I was like, man, if I watched this cold, I'd have no clue what was happening. There's so much that they're just like, you got to know that. We can't take the time. I think they'll go and like, I think they'll reiterate, because even, you know, I've been watching the one a week or whatever. They haven't still set up Infinity Stones very much. Like the Collector kind of says like this is what they are, but they haven't like literally called them out. Like there's power, there's reality, whatever. I think in this movie they will probably be like, look, there's 6. One of them's on this planet, one of them's on that planet. If you remember from the movies, great. If you don't, probably doesn't matter.
There's
They're probably
one.
just
There's one
MacGuffins.
right in his
There's
little
definitely
noggin.
one right there.
Little Vision's
I mean, he's got
red
to
head.
die, right? You can't pluck
Well,
him.
he's definitely
Stone
going
out
to
your
be not in great shape. I don't think. I mean, it's tough. You can't pull someone's battery out and expect him to just go on.
That's too bad, because then we won't get the him and Scarlet Witch rom-com that we deserve.
But what if he's like Pinocchio and he becomes a real boy?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
But then what do you do with just a Paul Bettany? That's just like, he doesn't have the knowledge of Jarvis or anything. He's just like there. Just
That's
like,
a great voice.
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
there,
he
like
does
a pep
voiceover
talk.
work
He does
mostly.
voiceover, yeah.
I also, one of my favorite parts of this whole trailer is we're clearly going to get some backstory on Thanos and Gamora and Nebula. I love that shot. First of all, his armor is awesome. I love this shot where she's holding his hand and then they're walking together and she's a little girl. I feel like this is like part that, you know, they said a long time ago, like this will be kind of one of the first Marvel movies that takes the POV of the villain. And I'm actually really looking forward to that, because like this is the stuff that I've actually been wanting to see all the way back since Guardians, where it's like they're not really his daughters. He's literally just taking people, kidnapping them, genetically mutating them. Like I kind of want to see like what a young Gamora and Nebula are like, because I feel like that was implied really heavily, but maybe didn't quite hit the mark in Guardians 2.
That's the thing about Thanos, is all of his character development has been like off screen or implied through other characters. So I hope we spend time with him, because still to me he's I don't know, neutral evil, but he's just like this very large bad person who wants to kill the world, and that's not that interesting, or it's not as interesting as it could be. So I hope that not half the movie, but a good part of the movie is getting us to understand why he is this way, why he's such a threat, where that comes from, what his relationship is to these other characters, instead of just another purple alien.
Some people we did not see. Hawkeye, not present.
Could be around.
Still,
Neither Ant-Man nor the Wasp present.
It's very small.
Is Ant-Man
or
in
at
this
least
one?
not visibly. Well, who knows? He's got his own movie coming out later this summer, so
That's true.
Who
Yeah.
knows? No. There's been speculation. Maybe they're keeping it in their back pocket of a return potentially for Hela. not present in this trailer.
Because she calls herself the goddess of death.
The goddess of
Thanos
death
is trying to court.
Exactly. So, does she play a critical role in this movie? What do you guys think? I mean, I think it's safe to say they're keeping, I'm sure, many things in their back pocket for this movie.
Yeah, that's what I liked about this trailer a lot, is that unlike Ultron, which I felt like by the end was giving away the best reveals and parts of the movie with like the Hulkbuster armor and stuff we would have gone to see it even if we hadn't seen it. I feel like they're holding some stuff back because there's
well, we've seen like 2 scenes, it seems like. This Wakanda fight.
Yeah.
This huge, that's like, seems like it's about 50% of the trailer is this fight in the jungle.
But really not seeing it, seeing like the lineup, the stare down.
Right.
And yeah, there's that shot. But really on the level of like the giant man reveal or like that, was that in one of the trailers?
No, but it was in a Lego.
It was in a
spoiled
t-shirt or something.
It was spoiled by a Lego set.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Okay, I take it back. But yeah, there aren't any of those oh shit moments that I think this trailer is spoiled, and you gotta assume they're in the movie at this point.
Well, what's crazy is that in the Comic-Con footage, there was a scene of Thanos with a, I think, mostly completed gauntlet tearing apart
Hold on.
Well,
Okay, people didn't want to know.
Well, no. Here's the thing: tearing apart a moon and throwing it, and then EW released that picture with their articles a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and that scene is still not shown, which makes me think that's probably small potatoes compared to what's they're not even going to reveal at all. But that's sort of the point being is that there's so many different, like with those EW pictures, seeing Rhodey with his paralysis legs from the end of Civil War. Like, there's so much that they haven't shown us on this thing that this movie's just got to be wall to wall jam packed. I mean, good God, that I just peed a little when you brought this up again. That is the most incredible thing ever.
But again, this isn't like visual spectacle that we're in awe of. It's the fact that we've grown to care so much about Captain America over 13, 14, whatever movies, and that they don't need to do the big set piece reveals. They can just rely on the sunk time we've put into these characters to get us to see this one.
Something I didn't note that should be noted there. You see that shot. He appears to have the 2 stones that are out in space. He's got the purple, space, there we go. Our Guardian stone and our Tesseract stone there. So it looks like he's taking care of his business out in space, and he's now come to Earth to. But we also have the ether, which is out. It's a whole. And knowing Marvel, they might have adjusted that shot for the trailer and CGI'd out stones.
There's also,
or changed
isn't there one like on the thumb and on the wrist?
Yeah, there's more.
Could be there.
Yeah, I think there's probably some misdirection going on as they misdirected things. With Thor, for example, they showed shots from the end of the movie with him with 2 eyes, and they're not. They will lie to you. This is what we're saying. Marvel will lie to you to preserve the integrity of this movie. So
I do have a theory.
Take everything you see with a grain of salt.
I do have a theory about the Soul Stone and about Wakanda, and I'm sure many people have had this theory online. But this is my prediction. I don't think it's a spoiler because it's just my own prediction, but. In Black Panther, the very beginning of the movie, they say that meteor crashed to Earth, and that's where the vibranium came from. Then they pick those flowers, and they're able to go into the Lion King space. I don't know what they call that.
The afterlife.
The afterlife, sure.
Yeah.
I think that the Soul Stone was part of that meteorite, and those flowers are growing out from the Soul Stone.
Ooh.
So when they eat the flowers... That's where they're able to go into that space, and I think that's why Thanos is invading Wakanda, because I think that's where the Soul Stone is.
All right.
I think it's in Billings, Montana. Oh, it's just a shot in the dark.
Well, a lot of people think it's Heimdall. A lot of people, like another prevalent theory is that Heimdall is like the living embodiment of the Soul Stone, but I think it's in Wakanda.
I think Idris Elba is way too busy for it to be Heimdall.
Is he in this one?
Who knows?
He was barely in Ragnarok.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know at this point.
That's the thing to forecast who dies is to check what projects they have in development and if they conflict with other Marvel movies.
Yeah.
You can
It's
go
Walking
meta
Dead,
there.
The Walking Dead theory.
Yeah.
Game
of Thrones. Like,
Game of Thrones.
he's Rob Stark is doing Cinderella. No, he's dead.
No. I'm a little pleased that I predicted the trailer. I got about 50-50 on the trailer from yesterday.
You played it safe.
I think there's some things. Well, yeah, but true. Yeah.
Fighting, heroes, quips.
Heroes, 7 heroes fighting, quips.
You got the Star-Lord quip. You just got it in the wrong
I got the
spot.
Star-Lord quip in the wrong place, and I did the Ant-Man quip with and there was no Rocket quip. It cut to Rocket. I'm like, All right, guys. Final thoughts? Anything in closing before we move on to fan questions, of which we have some very interesting ones today.
All right.
It's going to be a tough month to wait. Like, I'm such a nerd. I remember when that first Avengers came out, and like by the Tuesday of that week, I was like having dreams about it. I was like, I have to see this movie. I can't go another day. I feel like it's that times 10. I'm gonna be insufferable that week.
Woo.
Yeah.
I will see the movie when it comes out, happily.
And I got through this segment without saying what I thought.
Oh,
moving on.
What do you think, Dan?
No, I'm excited. It looks cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the opposite of Billy. Like knowing that I am more than likely going to have to review this movie in the last couple of years. Like my stance on trailers has changed a little bit because I do want to go into everything objectively. So I kind of have walled myself off from getting too excited by trailers because I don't want to go into something with a preconceived notion either way. I don't want to go into something expecting it to suck, and I don't want to go into something expecting it to be the most amazing thing in the world because I want my opinion to be as unencumbered by expectations as possible, which is really difficult, but you know, that's why I didn't watch a lot of the trailers for Last Jedi. It's like I wanted to go into that movie knowing as little as possible because I didn't want my expectation to be something that might sway my opinion one way or the other later on.
Well,
so
if this is the last trailer, we still don't know that much.
No, we don't. That's true.
I appreciate.
Yeah. Looks cool. All right, moving on to fan questions. You guys sent us so many fun questions. We love answering them on Friday. We'll try to get through as many as we can. This is a fun question that might start some interesting conversation. Joshua Jordan asks, with the Lon Bibbs movie fight, which you saw yesterday. By the way, if you missed, it was loud. It was passionate. If you missed yesterday's movie fight, number one, it was a really fun fight. You should check it out. Number two, as we announced on the show, that was our last fight in the 2-fighter format. We'll be going back to 3 fighters in 2 weeks. We'll be off next week. So if you want more information on that, check out yesterday's show. But Joshua asks, with the Lon Bibbs movie fight, who is a Screen Junkie you not necessarily dislike, but enjoy competing with? So I guess movie fights or elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, again, nobody that I dislike that I compete against, I don't think. Gosh, I don't know. Ellis and Carlson, and I like fighting against comedians. I feel like that's my comfort zone. Whereas Dan, I feel like you've got the edge on me in most respects when it comes to having a serious debate. So I feel like I'm having the most fun going up against somebody who maybe Mundy, people who who
the wild cards.
The wild cards, the people who are there to play and who will really throw you curveballs and you have to think on your feet and spin it around in some kind of creative way, not necessarily due to your own movie knowledge, just to your sheer off the fly thinking. Yeah. So I'll go with the funny men and funny men and women that I've competed against. Dan just scares me. It's just like, all right,
we've had some great debates, you and I. I always enjoy debating you mainly because it's usually a battle of tactics. I enjoy. No, I like fighting. When I fought Carlson for the belt, that's challenging because I am very much a person of logic, and he is very much not that. He's very much a person of creativity and really out there stuff, and so I find that very challenging. So I'm kind of with you. I enjoy fighting somebody who fights in a different way than me because it's very challenging and challenges how I do it. And just people that are knowledgeable in general about movies, just big, very passionate film fans. It's always fun to fight, to get down into the nitty gritty and the details. I don't know if that's as much fun for the audience, but for me, I just love fighting filmographies and it's a good time.
I've only had one movie fight. And it was against 2 people I never want to fight again, which is Lon and JTE, because they're both. Lon is insufferable. I argue.
Oh, wow.
I argue. Have you gotten to a full debate with Lon?
Yeah,
I think
we've
so.
had disagreements about things.
First of all, let me just say, Lon's one of my favorite people. I sit next to him all day. We argue all day. But there was one time him and I got into not even a movie fight. We were just in the studio by ourselves. We got into an argument so loud about Straight Outta Compton that one of the editors came over and was like, can you guys close the door? Because he was like, that ending is just so terrible. I'm like, that's life. You hate life? You hate what actually happened? I'm sorry that life isn't always just a great story. But anyways, I know I'm not answering the question, but I would have to say anyone other than Lon and JTE because they're both my friends, but they both are.
You don't enjoy competing.
I don't enjoy fighting with them. I didn't know that before I worked here, I didn't know that Movie Fights was a show. I thought it was just a podcast, so I used to listen to it all the time. And I always enjoyed hearing Hal, and I thought he would probably be fun to go up against. And I always enjoyed Dan, even though I didn't know I was wildly off on what everyone looked like. But
wait, what was in your mind's eye?
For Dan, I don't really know if I had anything like particular in mind. For Hal specifically, do you know who the Sklar brothers are?
Yeah.
I really thought that Hal looked like one of the Sklar brothers, and when I saw him, I was like, oh, that's not at all. I also was way off on JTE, but that's another story.
All right.
Oh, there you go. Well, speaking of JT, I hope this doesn't. JT, do you mind telling people your age? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. John asks, how old is JTE? I can't tell if he's 30 or 40 or 50.
I thought he was in his late 20s. No? How old are you, JT?
I think JT's a couple of years older than me, right?
36.
Oh, okay.
Nice,
JT.
JT.
You're older than me.
Yeah.
There you go. JTE is 36 years old. This is what I like
Well, yeah,
about
but
answering. This is an easy
can
asked and
put that
answered
to
question.
bed.
We can put it to bed.
Well, JT,
John,
you're
you're welcome.
very immature.
There you go, John. This is what we do. Some things are debatable, and some things we just put them to bed right immediately.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Props
boy.
to you for how you look, JT, but also, come on, man. Grow up.
Jooper says, Jooper, best theater crowd experience or best worst movie you saw where there were walkouts. For me, Mother, I saw an elderly couple leave abruptly when Jen was being beat up. So
Well, that was the end of the movie.
that was the end of the movie.
Yeah, might as well just
much
stay.
more.
Yeah.
So best, is there a best experience or a movie that you saw where it seemed like people were walking
Well,
out?
there
not
are
enjoying
two similar
themselves?
experiences. One was in college. There was a students pre-release screening of Borat. And I was like, I gotta pat myself on the back because my brother did a semester abroad in London and he brought back like VHS tapes of the Ali G show. It's just
Right.
like, oh my god, this guy's hilarious. So of course I signed up for the Borat movie. And when that large naked man's taint was chasing him around that hotel, people were literally rolling in the aisles. People had fallen out of their chairs, just dying laughing. It was definitely the biggest pop out of an audience I've ever seen. Then I saw Bruno in theaters, and I saw people walk out of that movie when the little penis hole was yelling Bruno. The older couple next to me walked out.
I never finished Bruno. Not for moral reasons.
Yeah.
I just don't think I ever. I don't think I ever. Or maybe it's The Dictator. I think I finished Bruno and I never finished The Dictator just because I just.
I'm curious about revisiting to see what it's like in 2018, but yeah.
Billy, anything? Any
I have two.
experiences?
Best theater crowd experience. For one, it was Superman Returns. The woman in front of me, first she brought a whole Cheesecake Factory meal with her, 4 different
Gangster.
containers. I was like, all right, cool, man. Literally, as soon as the WB logo comes on, her cell phone rings. She picks it up, just not even a whisper. She's like, hello? I was like, oh, no. And she's like, at the movies, Superman Returns. I don't know where he's been. That's why I'm watching the movie. And I was like, I'm not even mad.
Exactly.
This is incredible. And in hindsight, that was the best part of that whole movie for me.
True.
So that was my best theater experience.
Okay.
And then the walkout one, I saw 127 Hours, and a guy was getting very queasy during the arm scene, and he couldn't make it all the way to the door before he puked a little on his shirt at the ArcLight Hollywood. It was
tough.
incredible.
The one that I remember walkouts for was I saw Grindhouse at a midnight showing the night that it premiered at this theater in LA called the Vista, which is it's one big room, and I think it was right before they'd renovated, so they had the seats. They had older seats that they flipped up, but when you got up, they kind of they sort of went back and forth. As this is a midnight screening, if you haven't seen Grindhouse, it's Eli Roth, Planet Terror, for an hour and 15 minutes. And the second one is Tarantino's Death Proof, which if you haven't seen Death Proof, it is an homage to a very hyper-specific genre from the 1970s. And that specific genre involved a lot of talking. Death Proof is 20 minutes of car scenes and an hour of just talking in a room. And one room, it's a bunch of women at a table talking, and then there's a small car chase scene, and then it resets, and it's another group in another bar talking, And then there's a big action scene at the end, which is great. But when you're at a midnight screening and you're an hour and a half in and you're 30 minutes into the talking part of the movie, there were some people who it tried their patience. And I just remember we got there a little late, so we were kind of in the front part of the house. And like about 20 minutes into Death Proof, you started hearing... Oh. And it was like as people got up and left, their seats were just like and by the end of Death Proof we got up and looked out and literally half of the audience was gone. Death Proof had driven them out of. I think there were some boos at some point when it reset. It was when it reset. It was like you get through this whole thing of they're talking and then there's like this big boom, like crazy action beat, like oh, big audience moment, and then the movie resets. And about 5 minutes in, when people realized that we were in for another bout of a long talking sequence, people just started going like boo and left. So I'm not saying they were right to do it, but it did drive several.
Still
people
love the
out
ending.
Of
I do have one more. I just want to say real quick. Speed Racer, which is I love that movie. This guy was having the greatest night of his life, the row ahead of me, and every time something would happen, he'd be like, shit, fuck! And then at the very end, when Speed goes like supersonic and it goes crazy, he just yells out the top, he's like, oh, jizz! And I literally, I was like in tears crying. It's like, I want to see every movie with Jizz Guy, because like, it's the greatest movie he had ever seen in his life. I love LA.
I do too. I'm trying to think of what's I'm going to do one quick hit and then one more discussion, and then we'll take off. Let's see. This might be fun. Since Dan talked yesterday in ScreenJunkies Universe about not wanting to do the Shia video, are there any other videos or things that you, in retrospect, regret doing or thought were not such a great idea?
Ooh. I think I could talk about the unaired, was it Jamie Kennedy that I do an episode of Does It Hold Up with? I don't want to. I think it was Jamie Kennedy, right?
Was it Jamie? I don't remember. I remember you did an episode of Does It Hold Up with somebody.
A Jamie Kennedy type. I think it's him, but I don't want to say 100%. But and he's a busy guy, like I get it. But it was a show we did on ScreenJunkies Plus where we would both rewatch an old movie and then talk about it. And it became very clear within the first 5 minutes that he hadn't seen the movie in a long time. And he was just like, yeah, I think that happened. So it was really just me spinning my wheels for like 20, 30 minutes. But actually I don't think that ever saw the light of day, because even though we had a celebrity, I'll get back to you on that, whether it was the Jamie Kennedy or not. We're just like, all right, well, neither of us knows what to do now, so we're just going to stop talking.
Well, one celebrity appearance that I know for a fact happened that never made the air was for Cult Classics, which was Casper Van Dien's show on ScreenJunkies Plus.
Yes.
One day, Casper interviewed Lance Henriksen, who has been in so many amazing movies. He's an old school guy. And I think that he wasn't prepared. It was literally like we were here and the idea was had to just have him come in not knowing what an honest trailer is or what we do or what the tone is, and do an honest trailer commentary on Aliens, which we had just done.
Yeah, I remember that.
It
so
didn't
the
go
booth
well.
was amazing.
It really did not go well.
This was really, it shows where everyone truly lies when the chips are down, because he was not happy about it.
Pile on
and then
Spencer.
Dan, Joe, and he who will not be named, we're all like, well, Spencer, you wrote that one. What do you have to say about that? Like, everything that Lance was not happy about was suddenly, and by the way, we all write honest trailers, we all contribute, but that day it was all me. I was the only one who's ever thought of anything funny in that show. I had to answer for every single joke to an angry Lance Henriksen.
I was 3 feet away from an angry Lance Henriksen, and yes, my survival instincts kicked in. I'm sorry, Spencer. It was that or die.
Yeah.
It's because like one of the first jokes is like revisit the truck stop bathroom that is Aliens Universe. She's like, what? Truck stop bathroom? What is this? You do this for a living? You get paid to do this? People pay you to do this? And it's
like, well, yeah, we're like, just, it's like the aesthetic of the movie. It's a compliment. Like,
again, he wasn't wrong, but it was a reality check of like, we definitely live in a bubble, and that man has lived a life.
Yeah. A
life that we will never understand, a life that should be respected, and in retrospect,
So
probably.
yeah,
not
actually,
the
I
best
guess neither
idea.
of these are videos we regret. They're just ones that were we were not releasing them to protect all of us, everyone involved.
It just wasn't a good look for anyone involved.
Anyone, yeah.
Us most of all.
Yeah.
And you know, it was ScreenJunkies Plus. I was gonna say. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, Billy. Anything else? No, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, well, this was a pure mistake, and I felt so bad because I didn't realize what I had done. But it was during a TV fights, and the question was, what fairy tale would you reboot as a TV show? I think it was something about Once Upon a Time. First person went, they're like, there's this Russian fairy tale, blah, 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 that'd be great. I went and I was like, Pied Piper, it's this German tale, and I think it could be really cool. And then someone did Hansel and Gretel. And they're like, mine's also a German, but mine blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, 2 Germans, German high five.
Oh, no.
And he looks at me and he's like,
Nope.
and I was like, what are you oh, no! Oh, no! And the whole rest of the round, I just like couldn't speak. I was like, no, I'm so sorry. That's
German
not what I
high
meant. And I shat the bed for the rest of the game because I couldn't bounce back from that.
There you go.
That's good.
Oh, wow. Well, you can't top the accidental Nazi. All right. Last one. I think this is an interesting question. Alexander asks, I just recently saw Saturday Night Fever, one of Billy's favorite movies.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised and shocked even at how dark and gritty the film is, considering that the discussion that revolves of the film seems to be the lighter elements, the music, the fashion, etc. My question is, what do you think is a film that is misremembered or mostly talked about for aspects that don't necessarily reflect the film's narrative or themes? So a movie that has been kind of distorted through the lens of time.
I always say Saturday Night Fever. It's my second favorite movie of all time. And people are like, why? Like, you have literally no connection to this movie. I'm like, actually, if you've been like a teenager who doesn't really know what to do with their life, you absolutely have a connection to this movie. The disco is such a small part. You could replace that with any other activity and the story still works. It's about a guy who can't really seem to find himself, and he keeps making the wrong decisions and hurting the people he loves. And at the very end, he's like, what am I doing with my life? I think it's a great movie, but unfortunately, just because of it's such a statement on that era that people just like, oh, the disco movie. Probably how like Shape of Water is the fucking movie.
That's so true about Saturday Night Fever, which is like really a dark movie, like full of suicide and crime and murder and all this stuff. I do like do you ever see the sequel? Staying Alive.
Just every wrong choice, every wrong turn Saturday Night Fever could have taken.
Yeah.
They took it on the next one.
Yeah, that one's worth it for Camp Alone. Nothing's actually springing to mind. What do you got, Dan?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the same thing as well.
I really think like every 90s kids movie is way darker than you remembered. Like if you look at all the your Goonies and your Jumanji's super
very dark. Yeah.
Yeah, like Hook is really sad. Yeah, live action fantasy kids movies from 88 to 95. That's my pick.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something that's. It's because I feel like most films get their due. Staying Alive, directed by Stallone. Thank you, JT. Yes. I don't know
the
why
crown jewel in his filmography.
I don't know why you would bring that
God.
up as a fan of Sylvester Stallone, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that's just kind of remembered wrongly, or I
do think it will be Shape of Water eventually, because the easiest joke to make is like, oh, the fish banging movie won an Oscar. It's like, well, you now negated what this movie actually is trying to tell you. So I don't think like right now it's like a shining example, but I feel like 10 years from now, that's all people are going to be like, oh, the one where she bangs a fish.
I hope not. I hope that the narrative on that movie is a little more complicated, because it does have a lot of really great things to say about
Well, the problem about that movie is that it's kind of hard to sum up otherwise, because it's like it's a Cold War era suspense thriller, but also this kind of whimsical magical romance, but it's also, a story of friendship. Okay, it's the one where they bang the fish. Because it's hard to describe Guillermo del Toro's like his own movies, not like Blade 2, but that's the way to sum it up, Dan.
Yeah, I guess so.
I was wondering if we would defeat Dan by
It's a testament to how rich and complicated the rest of the movie is, that the only way to just elevator pitch it's she bangs the fish. Okay, let's move on.
I would say it's a story about, marginalized people and finding their voice. But it's a different elevator pitch, I guess. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me, everyone here, and most especially thank you guys for joining us out there. And I'm not going to forget the plugs, Billy.
I was like, don't do it.
Should we go out on the clip? Do we want to just go out on the clip, or do you want to do the clip and come back? What do you think?
No, we can go out on the clip because it's cute. I do want to say tomorrow, St. Patrick's Day. Please drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. If you're drinking, call a taxi, call an Uber, call a friend, call somebody. Don't drink.
Yes, if you're exploiting this holiday here in the United States, please be safe and treat others well, and don't get into a fight. It's not like The Purge. It counts tomorrow night, so whatever you do, just remember,
crime is still illegal.
Does not get wiped off your record. If you want to watch something a little more wholesome tomorrow, I did another number crunch video. A lot of people suggested things based off the comic book video that came out a couple weeks ago. I did one. I took all of the Disney animated films, not Pixar, that might be its own thing, but all the Disney animated features from Disney Animation Studios in the canon, and did a little number crunching. Fans and critics came up with the top 10, the most popular according to fans and critics. That premieres right here on Screen Junkies News tomorrow, I believe. And then Monday, we're very excited about this. Pacific Rim will be Pup Rising will be released on the Screen Junkies main channel. It has cute puppies, John Boyega,
Jaegers,
Kaiju. Did I mention puppies?
Yep.
It's super cute and super fun, and we are going to go out on a sneak preview of Monday's Pacific Rim. So watch this, enjoy some puppies, stay safe this weekend, be nice to each other, and we will see you on Monday. Goodbye.
Puppies.
Welcome to Pacific Rim.
Oh my gosh, it's so...
This is your Jaeger pup.
Oh, can I hold him?
Yes,
Hey,
that's
him?
yours. Yes. It's a him.
They're adoptable, man. This one's for you.
That one right there.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you guys are sniffed compatible.
What are you wearing, little guy?
Who is this guy?
No way. Hi.